ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your time, because we a little bit delaying, and we started our session half an hour later, so that we have 1 hour for discussion and for the session, and we have 4 speakers for this. These are very important sessions, and I think that all participants are very interested in, especially not only the Afghanistan. We are looking not only the Afghanistan, we are looking at Afghanistan in cooperation with Central Asia. Because now we are telling about something like a bridge between Central Asia and Afghanistan. It's just maybe Mr. Said, one of our colleagues said that this is the future of our of development in this region, and especially development in Afghanistan also. And firstly, of course, it's possible to read the idea, the main question of this session. No, I try to repeat. 3 years after the Taliban's return, Central Asia is redefining its Afghanistan relationships through pragmatic engagement. Kazakhstan removal of the Taliban from its terroristic list in December 2023, and recent multi-million-dollar trade agreements signal a shift from isolation to strategic partnership. As global institutions struggle with complex neighbors, Central Asian states are developing their own approaches, prioritizing economic cooperation over political alignment. This regional research offers lessons about rebuilding truth through practical partnership and managing differences through the trade rather than ideology. How does Central Asian Afghanistan strategy provide a model for international diplomacy when traditional frameworks fall? And of course, if we are looking for Afghanistan, we have a lot of questions, of course, because we try to concentrate for cooperation, try to concentrate real policy in this case. But of course we understand that for realization of projects, realization of the different ideas which we try to develop with Afghanistan, we need support of international society, but the problem of not recognition of Afghanistan government, Taliban government nowadays, and this is a problem for the beginning of realization of project. 4 years spent, but we still not start to built the very important project for our region and for Afghanistan also. For example, Trans-Afghan gas pipeline, or maybe railroad projects, 2 we have at least, and of course electricity lines and others. Because all banks need insurance for the credits, and we understand that this is a big problem in this situation. But of course, we have a chance to discuss, to understand more about this situation, about how it's possible to develop our efforts to develop the cooperation between Central Asia and Afghanistan in mutual efforts to become situation more better. We have now 4 speakers. Mr. Erkin Tukumov. He is special representative for the President of the Republic of Kazakhstan for Afghanistan, and also former director of Institute of Strategic Study of Kazakhstan. Here is maybe last year he was one of the founders of this forum, think tank forum, and so on. The second one, Mr. Javlon Vahabov. He's the director of International Institute of Central Asia of Uzbekistan and former first vice minister of Foreign Affairs. And third, we have Mr. Valiullah Shahin. He is the director of Center of Strategic Studies under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Afghanistan, and have a lot of specialization working in Al Jazeera TV channel. And the fourth one, Mr. Younes Zangiabadi. He is from Canada. He represents maybe Western point of view for the development situation in our region, and these ideas of bridges very helpful in this situation. And of course we'll start, I think, because we are maybe as a host of this meeting, this event, I'd like to give the first word to Mr. Tukumov. Erkin Valihанович, у меня к вам вопрос.
Erkin Valihановich, I have a question to you. Kazakhstan has declared a range of projects regarding Afghanistan. We are playing an active role in development of cooperation with Afghanistan. What does Kazakhstan think about our engagement in cooperation in with Kazakhstan, and what are the perspectives of implementing all these projects that were declared by Central Asian states? Thank you very much, Sultan, for such a representation and for such an interesting question. First and foremost, I'd like to state that that was quite a good decision that we have representatives of Afghanistan on our forum, because I have observed certain trend that people discuss Afghanistan without representatives of Afghanistan being among the speakers. And I think it's better to provide to ensure the participation of Afghan representatives when we are discussing cooperation or future of Afghanistan. What I'm trying to say, the phrase many Afghanistan-related projects sounds too loud. Well, there are certain projects with Afghanistan, including the key project is the construction of railway network. As you know, Afghanistan have no railways except one that is the one that was constructed by Uzbekistan from Termeza to Hayraton, and further it goes to Al-Mazar Sharif. I think it's 80 kilometers, if I'm not mistaken. That's it. No other railways are there in place in Afghanistan. In the meanwhile, Afghanistan has always been a transit state, existing on that transit road, be it Silkway Road or other forms of transit routes. And naturally, Afghanistan is quite interested in construction of railways, just as we are. I mean neighbors. By we, I mean the neighbors of Afghanistan, and not necessarily direct neighbors, but neighbors within the region. Both Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, also Central Asian states are interested in constructing transit reliable, resilient railway routes. That's to ensure the transit of our goods. And second, that would provide jobs for Afghanistan, within Afghanistan. And third, it will help to develop cooperation between Central Asia and Southern Asia. Though that is not just a mere transit, whether to Karachi or Madar, but that is something that the South Asian market needs as well, because for quite a while we've been Western-oriented region, and we still are, but then we've observed the emergence of China-related vector, but we have never looked towards the South, because there was a war almost 50 years in Afghanistan, and Afghanistan has a high-risk state in terms of injecting investments. I wouldn't say that now it's 100% risk-free zone or very risk-free zone for investments, but the risks have minimized. And that is due to the fact that Taliban controls now the country compared to what has been before. The level of security has improved. Yes, indeed, I think that is the... Well, Taliban has not been accepted and recognized by the international community due to human rights, women's rights, inclusive government issues. We are aware of that and we discuss these issues, but we never talk in such an ultimatum type of tone with Afghanistan, so that we do not have tit-for-tat type of dialogue with Afghanistan, because it never works. And I think you don't know it more than anyone as a person who has deep dived into the history of Afghanistan. And the isolation regime does not work as well. You can easily close the borders and live on, but then you can forget about any perspectives, transit perspectives, be it to the Southern Asia, to Pakistan, or Afghanistan's population is 45 million. Pakistan is 215 million. Correct me if I'm mistaken. India, 1.5 billion populations. These are huge markets that we practically are not yet cooperating with, and we not know well enough about Pakistani economy or Indian economy. These are our natural century-long trade partners, and without this corridor, we won't be able to do anything. With regards to the fact that, well, we cannot say we have nothing, we can do anything, that's not quite right. Our turnover with Afghanistan reached 550 million USD last year. I think that's quite a significant, staggering sum given the Afghan economy. This is mainly, of course, our export, our grain, our flour, our wheat. We provide the fuel, and they're interested in automobile centers, car centers. We provide humanitarian aid as well. Recently, there was a case, the earthquake in eastern provinces, and we provided 26 cars of our humanitarian aid. These included tents, food, medical care, etc. But these are single-time help, but well, Afghan party also asks us to provide long-term support, including hospitals, schools. We are approaching to that. But I'd like to highlight, Representative Uzbekistan is here. We should do this together with you. We should join efforts. Why? Because the synergy will bring more efficiency, and that will be a loud enough message to the whole world. What we see quite often in social media, the topic that Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan are rivals, are, people who know the truth, they know the truth. I'm sorry for reiterating the word. There is no rivalry. There is a mutual projects. There is mutual efforts, movement toward a shared goal. But just people need some, people need to talk. Sometimes they need topics to talk. And I urge all the expert community not to follow this kind of fake statements, and on the contrary, help us to improve our friendship, to build, to make it better between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. I think Afghanistan is quite a natural field for us to join our efforts and cooperate. I can talk a lot about Afghanistan if you do not interrupt me, so I kindly think I'll stop here so that my colleagues will have an opportunity to share their opinions as well. In general, to conclude, we have quite a pragmatic approach. Even without recognizing Afghanistan, we still cooperate, including for the sake of the future, because the isolation of Afghanistan will only lead to new conflicts in Afghanistan, and then no one can guarantee that we won't fall the victims of that isolation as well, because migration will have no restrictions. Terroristic threats, extremism threats will grow significantly, manyfold, believe me. And I think we do need safe and peaceful Afghanistan. And our projects exactly aim at this, including at this, except for economic benefits. Thank you very much, Yurkin Walekhanovich. Indeed, I just wanted to clarify. So Kazakhstan does have a long-term strategy in terms of Afghanistan. We can state that, right? You know, a year ago, I'd be more confident about Afghanistan because now there is a so-called Kruger effect. When the more you know, the more you start doubting. And so I know more now about Afghanistan than I knew a year ago, but I have more doubts, and I'm being very cautious and mindful when talking about Afghanistan. We do understand that the situation in Afghanistan is quite dynamic and shifting quickly, and during the last 50 years, a lot has happened there, lots of shifts, violence-based shifts, coups, and we do hope that Taliban is a long-term factor in Afghanistan, and we hope that there will be movement towards given the shifting situation in Afghanistan, we hope that there will be certain recognition on the international level. We hope that humanitarian situation, which is severe at the moment in Afghanistan and is getting even worse given the conflict with Pakistan, every day tens and tens of people are being deported from Afghanistan to Pakistan, from Pakistan to Afghanistan, and no jobs, no maintenance, just the life of millions and millions of people, ensuring the life of millions and millions of people is quite hard. Humanitarian situation in Afghanistan is severe, and we, by saying we, I mean Central Asian states and other states, we are trying to help, but that is not enough. And the only solution is to improve their economy. And of course, the Afghani are also interested in measures that we are taking to help them. Thank you.
I just want to maybe to ask you about what is position of Uzbekistan for the maybe vision of Uzbekistan about the situation in Afghanistan, and how you are thinking about the perspectives of the maybe this is a long-term strategy or maybe short-term strategy, and how we need to, our Central Asian points of view, maybe we have our common point of view, or maybe we have separates in this position. Thank you very much.
Great question, by the way, and I'll try to reflect on it with a great pleasure. There couldn't be a better time as we are touching upon Afghanistan here in Astana, in a time when Uzbekistan is currently chairing at C5. So we are about to host the 7th Central Asia Summit, so next month in Tashkent. And among those so many priority objectives and goals we're currently pursuing to achieve during our chairmanship, Afghanistan has a special place in it. And in these terms, I would say that interaction with Afghanistan itself plays a crucial role. And this is driven not only by the geopolitical significance of the region, but also by the need for joint responses to cross-border challenges, including those related to security and sustainable development. You know, since we launched this good neighborliness policy, so many things changed over the past 8 years, and I would say that Uzbekistan's approach towards Afghanistan has been significantly shaped, given the fact that we share a common border, unlike Kazakhstan. So, and we've been suffering from so many threats posed by Afghanistan in the past. And frankly speaking, all Central Asian countries, especially those sharing common border with Afghanistan, have been hugely dependent on the foreign troops' presence in Afghanistan for more than 2 decades. But since this withdrawal happened in 2021, 4 years passed, and somehow Central Asian countries, including Uzbekistan, neighboring Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, so we're quite capable of handling Afghanistan without any third countries' involvement. And I think it's a big deal for us, big deal for the region. For the first time, we've been able to develop the most appropriate solutions towards Afghanistan. But unlike Central Asian countries, unfortunately, the international community has not yet managed to develop a unified and I would say a coordinated policy towards the Taliban government. But at the same time, as you may see on the screen, a number of countries already regard the Taliban not yet de jure legitimate, but de facto functioning government authority in Afghanistan. So more neighboring states whose economic interests and security are directly dependent on stability in the region, so have opted for, as Dr. Tokumov has mentioned, opted for pragmatic engagement with Kabul. And over the past years, past 4 years, I would say, yep, the Taliban have sent diplomats to a number of countries, including China, Russia, Qatar, Turkey, Pakistan, Iran, and even the United Arab Emirates. So Russia, for instance, became the first country to officially recognize the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, headed by the Taliban movement. Yeah. China was the first to officially receive an ambassador appointed by the new Afghan administration. Yes, even India, which had previously expressed its serious concern over the Taliban's rise to power, is now recalibrating its infrastructure initiatives in Afghanistan and may soon fully reopen its embassy in Kabul. Yes, back to Central Asia. As I represent the International Institute for Central Asia, so I would prefer to reflect on the overall Central Asian countries' approaches towards Afghanistan. So in these terms, so our countries too, from the very first days, have been developing dialogue and cooperation with the new authorities in Afghanistan, in areas ranging from trade and infrastructure to education and humanitarian assistance, and in the interest of ensuring stability and development across the region. So, for instance, Turkmenistan, right, was among the first to resume engagement, launching bilateral trade and infrastructure projects. Tajikistan, so while maintaining a firm political stance towards Afghanistan's internal situation, continues to supply electricity, continues to preserve a certain level of trade relations. Kazakhstan and our neighbor Kyrgyzstan have removed the Taliban, as it has already been mentioned, from their national lists of terrorist organizations and are developing economic and humanitarian cooperation. For its part, so Uzbekistan since 2017 has moved away from viewing Afghanistan solely as a source of threats and has instead adopted a policy of engagement based on trust and partnership, and a stable and interconnected Afghanistan benefits the entire region, so opening new markets, trade routes, and access to a growing labor force. So this pragmatic approach has continued after the withdrawal of foreign troops from Afghanistan. So in these terms, the country I represent with respect to Afghanistan, which we consider as an integral part of Central Asia, and conducts its foreign policy according to the principle, or I would say concept, which is based on a very clear and simple approach. And this approach is stability through connectivity. And I believe all other nations currently engaging with Afghanistan are very much leaning on this on this approach. And this is based on a good neighborliness policy, which we've been advancing over the past 8 years. So since 2017, when this new administration came to power in Uzbekistan. But in the meantime, with a huge respect for sovereignty and, of course, non-interference into internal affairs of Afghanistan, and reflecting Uzbekistan's so consistent support for a peaceful, stable, and economically viable Afghanistan. Yes, you may also see the challenges and risks we are currently facing while engaging with Afghanistan. A few of them have already been touched upon, and I don't want to repeat them, but these challenges are available on the screen. Yes, with respect to humanitarian response plan, yeah, there's a huge deficit, and in these terms, we know well Afghanistan is very much dependent on the aid provided from abroad. And in these terms, we are still calling on our partners to engage more with Afghanistan to address those remaining challenges in the country. But what we are quite confident, so Afghanistan is no longer alone. So Afghanistan is currently cooperating with its immediate neighbors, countries, in particular from Central Asia. Yes, so Uzbekistan's key projects currently implemented in Afghanistan are pretty well known. But here I would like to single out, this free economic zone in Termez, which I was quite fortunate to visit several months ago. And you know, what we are currently seeing, a huge number of Afghans so crossing back and forth and staying in this zone, doing some commerce with their Uzbek counterparts, and moreover, even business individuals coming from other countries are also doing commerce and closely engaging with Afghans. So in this regard, I would say that, by the way, this place is quite affordable and even available to all Afghans to get in, and Afghan citizens can stay there for up to 2 weeks without any visa requirements. And over the past years, we've seen more than 90,000 visitors, including over 40,000 Afghans who have visited it. And one more project I would like to draw your attention is actually related to this 10-year contract to invest nearly $1 billion in Afghanistan energy sector, primarily into exploration works for natural gas and of course electricity generation. And definitely, this kind of huge projects cannot be implemented only by Uzbekistan. So the reason I'm echoing what so Dr. Tokumov said. So these kind of huge infrastructure projects should be implemented together with other neighbors as well. So let me stop here, and I'll be more than happy to reflect on other issues later.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vakhabov. Just one question, maybe, if additional is possible. Not question, but are you looking optimistically for the time of beginning of building such kind of project, as maybe like a railway road or maybe trans-Afghan pipes? It's just a personal point of view, not official, I understand. But can you maybe try to see in the nearest future starting of this build? Because we understand that for Afghanistan it's absolutely need such kind of projects.
You know what we are currently focusing on unlocking Uzbekistan. So unlike Kazakhstan and other countries, so we still remain double landlocked nation, right?
Okay.
And there are only two.
Okay.
And one of them is Uzbekistan.
Yes.
So in these terms, it's vitally important to diversify our transportation routes, to look at any options which might be helpful to us to unlock the country, to lead us to the nearest seaports, both in Pakistan and Iran, or beyond the Caspian Sea, and etc. So, but with respect to this long overdue, the construction of the railroad in Afghanistan, I think, and I would say I'm quite confident that we should keep talking about this infrastructure project, and moreover, not talking but also doing. So in these terms, so the government of Uzbekistan remains very much committed to the construction of this railroad, as we have already expressed our willingness to allocate almost $500 million so for the construction of this railroad. Okay. And moreover, we are also seeing some good gesture from the Middle East countries. So for instance, the state of Qatar, UAE, Saudi Arabia, so are very much interested in entering Afghanistan, in helping countries like Uzbekistan to achieve our very ambitious goals with respect to the construction of this railroad, which actually makes us hopeful that at some point in the future, so this construction definitely will be complete. In the meantime, we are seeing other good signs. So the World Bank, one of those few international financial institutions, has already resumed its operational activity in Afghanistan. And others, we believe, so will be following so the World Bank's footprints in Afghanistan. We see some of the European countries, and even the Swiss government has already returned to Afghanistan. So in this regard, oh yes, by the way, Pakistan, so another country which is very much aligned with this infrastructure project. You know well, we do have a trilateral commission which is currently dealing with the feasibility studies. It's also another good sign. So once the feasibility studies is done, so the next step hopefully will be able to launch the construction itself.
Thank you very much. Mr. Shahin, welcome in Kazakhstan. Assalamu alaikum. Mr. Shahin, we discussing maybe several aspects of the relationship between Central Asia and Afghanistan. But firstly, I'd like to ask you, what is about the vision of Central Asia from Afghanistan? What do you thinking about it? And also, maybe additional question, if it will be possible. You know, very often we said that about some risk from Afghanistan to Central Asia. Very often somebody said about it. And other situations that we understand that any project we are talking about, this is connecting with the question of recognition of the government. So that this is complex of the problems in this case. But we understand that we interested in the development of this question. But what is your point of view of these cases?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله اول از همه تشکر میکنم از همه حضور و دوم تشکر خاص از کسانی که همین برنامه را برگزار کردن. بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. прежде всего хотел бы поблагодарить.
First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to the hosts of this program, of this platform. I'd like to start with the words of His Excellency Mr. Tokumov when he mentioned the more you know about Afghanistan, the more doubts the more concerns and doubts you have within. But I think the more you learn about Afghanistan, the closer you get to Afghanistan. There is a saying: the more you get closer to the mountain, the bigger that mountain becomes in your eyes. The same with a person. The closer you start learning about a person, the bigger this person becomes in your eyes. The same with Afghanistan. The more you learn about Afghanistan, the bigger it becomes in your eyes.
روابط خیلی دوستانه داریم و میخوایم همین روابط دیگه هم نزدیکتر بشه و ما روابط خیلی تنگاتنگ با اینا داشته باشیم به خاطری که ما در مذهب خود راجع به همسایه موارد خیلی زیادی داریم. حتی حضرت پیامبر صلی الله علیه وسلم میگه که حضرت جبرئیل برای ما به حد راجع به همسایه توصیه میکرد که ما فکر کردیم که همسایه شریک میراث است.
Мы
We have very good close relations with Central Asia, and we strive to improve and strengthen our relations with Central Asia, given that according to our religions, the rights of our neighbors are highly appreciated, as the Prophet, may mercy be upon him, mentioned that I was told so much about the rights of my neighbors, so I thought maybe my neighbors can become my heirs of mine.
اعتماد سازی کرده باشیم و اعتماد نقطه‌ای است که در حلقه روابط بین‌المللی در روابط بین‌المللی یک حلقه گم شده است. ما به خاطری که اعتماد سازی کرده باشیم ما سه کار را انجام دادیم.
мы для того так действительно
We indeed are striving at strengthening and building trust. This is something that lacks in international relations. And in order to strengthen and establish trust, we made 3 steps.
اول مبارزه با تروریسم بین‌المللی به نام داعش قرار داریم و کوشیدیم که اینا را از افغانستان ریشه‌کن سازیم و همین کار هم انجام شده.
первый шаг это
First step, because we are located at the forefront on the top list, at the forefront of fighting ISIL, and we wanted to destroy them, and we hope to do so.
و امارت اسلامی افغانستان به او دسترسی پیدا کرده است که افغانستان بعد از اینکه نمبر 1 بود در زراعت و قاچاق مواد مخدر، حالا زراعت و قاچاق مواد مخدر در افغانستان به 0 رسیده.
вторая работа, которая
Second step, what we've implemented is regarding drug trafficking. Previously, Afghanistan was number 1 in the world in terms of growing and drug trafficking, drug growing and drug trafficking. But at the moment, we have stopped that as well, eliminated that problem.
توقعی را داره ما میخوایم افغانستان نقطه وصل باشه از آسیای مرکزی به آسیای جنوبی و هیچگاه افغانستان بار دیگه ساحه‌ای برای تصادمات بین‌المللی برای بازیگران بین‌المللی ساحه‌ای باز نباشه که یا امریکایا بیایه بگرام بگیره یا کسی دیگه بیایه خاک افغانستان را تصرف شوه و برای همسایه ها و دنیا منبع خطر شوند.
And we do not want, we want Afghanistan to become a sort of a bridge between Central and Southern Asia. We don't want Afghanistan to become a free space for international players. Like, we don't want the US to conquer Bagram or to take part of Afghanistan and interfere, including with our neighbors.
افغانستان قرار داره یک وضعیت کاملا استثنایی است. بعد از تقریبا 50 سال برای اولین بار در افغانستان امنیت سرتاسری آمده، نه تنها برای افغانا، کسایی که به افغانستان سفر میکنن برای همه اونها.
Now Afghanistan is in an exclusive situation. For the first time after 50 years, we have full security in Afghanistan, not only for the people of the Afghanistan, but including for our international visitors that would visit Afghanistan.
برای کشورهای آسیای میانه که اینا تجارت خود با آسیای جنوبی از طریق افغانستان تنظیم کنن و آسیای جنوبی شما میفهمین که نفوس خیلی کلانی داره و یک بازار خیلی کلانی است ورای شما از افغانستان میگذره. وقتی افغانستان به امن باشه همه کشورهای آسیای میانه به امن است و تجارتشان دیگه هم رشد میکنه. وقتی افغانستان خدا نخواسته ناامن باشه، همه کشورهای منطقه در همچو ناامنی به سر میبرن.
Afghanistan, as mentioned earlier, Afghanistan strives to be a bridge between Central and Southern Asia. So this can be used as an opportunity to bring in businesses between Central Asia and Southern Asia, because the population of Southern Asia is quite large, and if Afghanistan provides security, this will bring benefits to both Southern and Central Asia. They may use Afghanistan as a route to Central Asia, and if Afghanistan is not in security, then our neighbors would also suffer.
تصور ما از آسیای میانه تصور یک برادر صمیمی ماست که در همه مشکلاتی که ما دامنگیری ما میشه، اولین کسایی که دست یاری برای ما دراز میکنه کشورهای آسیای مرکزی است و در زلزله اخیری که در ولایت کنر رخ داد برای ما ثابت شد که از همه پیشتر و اولتر کشورهای آسیای میانه بودند که به همکاری ما رسیدن و ما را در این مشکل دست برادری دادن.
We think that we believe we review Central Asian states as our brothers, because in any case when Afghanistan had problems, the Central Asian states were very first to help. And even during the last earthquake in Afghanistan, in the eastern part of Afghanistan, serves as a proof to that the very first countries to help were that of Central Asia.
سلامای خاص و محبت خاص جناب وزیر خارجه افغانستان را تقدیم همه شما میکنیم و ما امیدوار هستیم که روابط افغانستان با آسیای میانه دیگه هم نیرومندتر، نزدیکتر و صمیمیتر شود.
In conclusion, I'd like to express and to forward the greetings of His Excellency Minister of Foreign Affairs of Afghanistan, and we hope that relations between Afghanistan and Central Asia will strengthen and become closer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shaheen. Yes, it's absolutely. I think it's important for us, your words, and of course we understand the cooperation between our regions. It's important not only for our region, because we need, for example, way to the southern ports, of course, it's for us, it's absolutely privileged, but also for Afghanistan and for our cooperation between us, because we understand that you said about this, like a bridge between Central Asia and South Asia. I think it's very interesting way. But just one maybe question from my one question between cooperation between Central Asia and Afghanistan is the Kushtipa question. What do you think about, what is the position? Is it some negotiation between Afghan government and Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan about the Kushtipa questions with Kushtipa channel? Because we know that nowadays in now our region is not so good situation with climate changing, very hot weather, and not enough water, and so that it's maybe somebody said that it's potentially some risks with this spreading the water of Amu Darya River in this case. What is the position of Afghanistan government for this question?
راجع به موضوع کشتیپه ما باید بگوییم که کشتیپه برای افغانستان یک پروژه حیاتی است. شما میدانید که افغانستان در تغییر اقلیم هیچ نقشی نداشته، ولی متضررترین کشور است از تغییر اقلیم. بنابراین چون افغانستان در دهه‌های پیشین در جنگ بوده و هیچ نوع استفاده از آبی که در داخل خاک افغانستان میگذره و منبعش اکثریت منبعش از افغانستان است، هیچ استفاده صورت نگرفته. بنابراین ما فکر میکنیم که کشورهای همسایه ما همین مشکل افغانستان را درک کرده و راجع به موضوع کشتیپه اینا هم موقف صمیمانه دوستانه و برادرانه داشته باشند.
Про вопрос о Куштепе.
Regarding Kusipa Canal issue, Afghanistan has never played a role in regarding the climate change, but have suffered from consequences. And because Afghanistan was involved in war, and despite the fact that these waters, Afghanistan is the source of these waters, Afghanistan never had a chance to use in a proper way this water. Kushtipa is a crucial project for Afghanistan, and our neighbors should understand the situation and problems of Afghanistan.
And Mr. Zangia Badi, yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, maybe pronunciation not right. Of course, your position is maybe from Western point of view, because we know that, of course, Western countries not present nowadays in Afghanistan, but participating in the process with through the World Bank structure, other international organization. But the main question is that we understand the recognition of Afghanistan is a problem, because it's maybe some difficulties with credits, with insurance and so on for our projects. What do you think about what more is possible current Western position about the situation of Afghanistan and cooperation with Central Asia?
Thank you very much, Mr. Sultan, for the kind introduction and also your question. But before I share my thoughts and remarks, I would also like to thank the organizers and the host for putting together such a timely and important forum here in Astana. To answer your questions, so what I've done is try to address it at three interconnected levels, international, regional, and national. Because the challenges facing Afghanistan and the opportunities before it cannot be separated. When they are treated as separately, as it's often been the case, especially since the Taliban took over, the same challenges and the conversations that we're having today tend to repeat themselves. Some may celebrate progress at one level, which in this case is the international level with the recent India-Afghanistan rapprochement, but without coordination across all levels, these efforts may only remain symbolic and short-term, and may be actually used by external actors for short-term objectives or political gains. It is therefore important to understand that each dimension both shapes and reinforces the other. And it is only through coordination and synergy across all levels that we can open a new chapter of cooperation that serves the interest of Afghanistan, its people, as well as the international community. Starting macro at the international level, particularly for many Western countries, as you asked, the Taliban's closed and non-inclusive system of governance, its exclusion of women and minorities from the decision-making process, as well as public, as we all know, with the unfortunate developments of Afghan women not having access to education. These negative developments are what make the formal recognition impossible from the Western perspective. But it's also important to emphasize here that this is not only a Western concern. This is a mainly question of universal human rights and human dignity. The very same rights and freedom that millions of women exercise across the Islamic societies, from here in Kazakhstan, but also across the Islamic world. Also the very same region that Afghanistan itself is located. So until the Taliban leadership keep persisting on this, I would say, an ineffective and outdated model of governance with no tangible reforms, nor improvement, this conditional recognition approach will continue to also persist, not only by the West, but also by the broader international community. Secondly, what is also important to consider now, as opposed to the past, is that we have now a very different political context at play, which is basically without the US or the Western military presence in the country, the value versus interest debate on Afghanistan has completely shifted. And within this new context, there is little to no political incentives, neither in Washington, Ottawa, major European capitals, to re-engage with Afghanistan under the current conditions. Therefore, it's ultimately, I would say, up to the Taliban leadership to demonstrate a genuine willingness to govern responsibly and inclusively if it seeks international recognition and meaningful engagement with the outside world. If not, Afghanistan, unfortunately, will no longer be as relevant in the foreign policy debates internationally, but more importantly, in Washington, D.C., where much of the attention is these days absorbed by China, the Russian war in Ukraine, and the Middle East crisis from Gaza to the unprecedented tensions and war and conflict between Iran and Israel. Yet despite all of this, I believe Afghanistan could still make itself a priority if its leadership is ready to present a credible and politically viable path toward a comprehensive deal, one that creates real incentive for major powers, specifically the United States, to re-engage. A parallel can be drawn with how Armenia and Azerbaijan reached a settlement after years of hostility, or how Syria's normalization, which occurred almost overnight, was done through direct engagement and regional backing, despite having no better, if not worse, past than the Taliban with respect to the United States. So Afghanistan could follow this similar strategy, which is leveraging regional actors, in this case especially Central Asian countries, to build confidence, demonstrate flexibility, and ultimately reach an internationally acknowledged agreements potentially championed by President Trump. And to get on this road, we need a new framework for multilateral dialogue, one that could build on the past experience but adapt to the new realities amid an increasingly multipolar world order. And this leads me to the second level, which is the regional one, and this is where Central Asia comes into play. Central Asia can play an effective role in the design, implementation, and even as a guarantor of such multilateral dialogue on the future of Afghanistan. The 6+2 group of the early 20s, however unpleasant it may seem or sound to the Taliban leadership at the moment, remains an interesting model that can be revived and modernized as proven effective in the past to bring together regional and global actors to work with one another directly and indirectly with respect to Afghanistan. A renewed and expanded version that could include more countries, such as Kazakhstan, as well as Turkey or GCC countries, including Qatar, that played an important role in 2022 through the Doha process as well. Such platform could both advance Afghanistan's stabilization process and address the economic issues that you mentioned and facilitate the investment and the trade between Afghanistan and Central Asian countries, but also could work as a channel of communication for de-escalation between Afghanistan and its neighbors, in this case Pakistan as well, because Pakistan was part of the 6+2 group at the time. And given Central Asia's balanced relations with both East and the West, and its tradition of neutrality, the region is ideally positioned to host and facilitate such inclusive and multilateral dialogue. And at the national level, regional engagement, I would say, must also be focused on helping Afghanistan rebuild internal cohesion and legitimacy, starting with inclusive governance and the protection of basic human rights. Central Asian and other Islamic countries, most of which are members of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation or OIC, as well as its sister institutions such as ISESCO, for example, can play a constructive role by engaging the Afghan government through an Islamic framework that encourages reform, inclusion, and participations of women and minorities. And for the Taliban, the experience of neighboring Islamic states also offer valuable lessons. Governance through exclusion or coercion can maintain order temporarily, but it ultimately erodes legitimacy and perpetuates a cycle of insecurity, paranoia, and underdevelopment. And the example of Iran illustrates that clearly. Decades of non-inclusive governance system of social suppression produced deep resentment that continues to haunt establishment up until today. And the latest nationwide protests after the death of the Mahsa Amini over the mandatory hijab was an example of that. And the government, at the end of the day, was forced to change some, or at least change the implementation of such rules inside the country, but it was a bit too late. But at the same time, these are the lessons that Afghanistan can take as as a country that is going under transformation as well. And this is, again, was one of the topics that also allowed the current president to get elected because of focusing on this important issue that resonated with a good portion of the Iranian population. So these crises are avoidable and indeed necessary to avoid if a government truly aims for stability, development, and legitimacy. A government that seeks recognition abroad must first secure credibility at home. Thus, Afghanistan engagement transformation must be viewed, as I said, in this three levels of interconnected process. And if you have the progress at the progress at the national level is surely inseparable from the cooperation at the regional and international levels as well. And the convener and the bridge across all levels could be, well, Central Asia, as there is commitment by countries represented here on this panel to help that process move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zangiabadi. I think that you're absolutely right that this is a process. This is not simple process, but it's a process. We understand the position of Western countries. We understand that from other side we need some assistance with investment, especially, and insurance for credits and others. And we have models how to possible to do it. But of course, it's not only our question. It's a question of all. Of course, firstly, Afghanistan question. Secondly, it's maybe we need to we are ready to support, of course. But of course, this is a not simple question. And of course, we understand that we have perspectives, but not in the nearest future about recognition, I think, yes. And this is a big problem for us, I think, because it's a very big problem for beginning the starting the projects, because, 4 years spent, but Trans-Afghan gas pipeline still not started, because this pipeline very important for the Afghanistan, very important for stabilization situation, profit of this using, and so that is factor, the main factor, and also railroads, which supports projects of Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan and others. But I hope that just one situation, but like that situation will not the same like in the old Japanese samurai said that the movement is all, but the aim is nothing. Yes, I think. So that I hope that in the near future we will see some decision, maybe some attempts to find some final situation. And thank you very much. I hope that our session was very interesting. And thank you all speakers. I think that I hope that it will be fruitful for all of us and useful. And now we start maybe a question and answer session. But just one question, one condition maybe. Just question, shortly, please. No declaration, please, I think, yes. So that very short, very short. Because this, firstly, please. No, lady, yes. Your second.
To me?
Yes, please.
Can I raise my question?
Yes.
My name is Gulshan Tosheva. I am from Azerbaijan. Actually, I have one question. I am thinking about what could be as an idea. The idea of Heart of Asia. You know this project. It was very good project, which probably right now is dormant. Do you think, because I think Central Asian countries, as well as Azerbaijan, was part of that process, do you think it's possible to revisit it, to think about that?
Thank you. Who will answer? You can record.
Heart of Asia.
Heart of Asia. Может, это? It's possible, voluntarily. Who is ready to answer? Yes, please. Mr. Vahabov, maybe, yes.
As I represent the country of Uzbekistan, which represents also the whole region of Central Asia as its own, I would say any platform, any format which might serve the best interests of Afghanistan and its own people should work. With respect to this initiative, which has been forgotten, by the way, the Heart of Asia, I still recall how so many countries have been involved. Turkey has been staying at the forefront of this idea, bringing together so many countries. But this happened when the foreign military troops were present in Afghanistan, right? Which is no longer the case. But in the meantime, I think so. Any such kind of platforms which might represent not only the countries surrounding Afghanistan, but also bringing Afghanistan itself to this platform, I think will be very much welcomed by Kabul, by these new people in power in Kabul, right? But at the same time, so we talked a lot about recognition. So it's my firm belief that we shouldn't focus on recognition. Just take a look at what Uzbekistan did over the past 4 years. We've been engaging with this government, with these new people in power, without any consideration whether Uzbekistan should recognize this government or not. For instance, just a couple of examples which I'd like to share with you. So for instance, the Uzbekistan president, I believe, remained the only leader in the region, foreign country leader who met with number 2 in Afghanistan, Mr. Boradar, who is currently serving as a deputy prime minister, right? Moreover, so the Uzbekistan prime minister has become the first and only foreign government official who came to Kabul, so representing so its own country. And beside that, so we are currently welcoming the newly assigned ambassador of Afghanistan in Tashkent. So these kind of steps never hindered so us to engage with Afghanistan, and in these terms I would urge others to engage with this country, so just putting aside the recognition-related issues.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Natalia, a journalist from Indonesia. I want to highlight what Mr. Sangyabadi mentioned about the women and children in Afghanistan. There is a notion, my question is headed to Mr. Shaheen. There is a notion that a nation will be great if the women are great. So what we are seeing from what you say, there is no guarantee. This is not only the perspective of the Western people, but also the concern of women all over the world. Because today, women in Afghanistan is voiceless.
I'm so sorry, please,
Yeah,
very short, very short.
The question is, how could you ensure your country will be big and great if the woman is now under repression according to our perspective?
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Yes, please. Sorry for interruption.
Thank you very much. اول همشری ما از آذربایجان همشری ما از آذربایجان موضوع قلب آسیا را مطرح کرد. ما در وزارت خارجه اداره‌ای داشتیم فقط به خاطر پیشبرد کارای قلب آسیا، پروسه قلب آسیا. متاسفانه ای که کشورهای دوست دلچسپی نداشتن، همون اداره را ما بسته کردیم و ما دوست داریم که دوباره همین اداره ما احیا شوه و قلب آسیا دوباره فعال شوه و همکاری های منطقوی از این طریق به پیش ببریم.
First of all, I'd like to answer the question to our sister from Azerbaijan, and she raised the question regarding the revival of Heart of Asia. We had a department at the Foreign Office of Afghanistan that used to deal with this initiative, Heart of Asia. Unfortunately, because our brotherly neighbors have not expressed interest in this initiative, we had to close this department, but we are very interested in reviving this process.
از اندونزیا ما کاملا همراه شما موافق هستم. یک یقینا زن نیمی جامعه است و بیشتر از نیمی جامعه ما این موضوعات را در افغانستان کاملا درک میکنیم و در صددی هستیم که راهی را پیدا کنیم انشالله به زودترین فرصت که زن در همه عرصه های زندگی حاضر باشه و رول خود را ادا کنه.
Regarding the question from our sister from Indonesia, Natalia, I'd like to say yes, I totally agree with you that women, same as men, are the part of the society, even the majority part of society, and we are trying to find a route to ensure that our women would be engaged in all the aspects of public life.
Yes, please. Shortly, very shortly. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kimbekov, and all the panelists. My question is short. In March of the current year, it was officially announced that Almaty becomes the hub of sustainable development and development of Afghanistan, and Mr. Gutierrez arrived. But today, there were no declarations and statements in terms of this with regards to this, although Mr. Yunus tried to somehow relate these two facts. This fact. Would you kindly share, is there any draft of action plan? How will this all work? Thank you very much for such a great question. In March of the current year, the UN has voted with a majority vote, so the decision was made to launch the Sustainable Development Hub in Almaty. In August, our president, alongside with Mr. Gutierrez, the Secretary General, have officially opened this hub. At the moment, the legal framework is being developed in order to ensure the functioning of this hub. It will take certain time. We need to ratify the documents within our parliament. We need to calculate financial costs, etc. And all of this is being implemented jointly with the UN. Therefore, I understand your concern regarding the fact that it's been declared, but it's not functioning, not operating yet. But the process is underway. Believe me, Ministry of Foreign Affairs is working on this on a daily basis. We do understand how important it is now to consolidate our efforts in gaining SDGs, especially for Afghanistan. This is going to be crucial. Why? Because the 17 SDGs that we are going to implement jointly within our region, they will also embrace Afghanistan. As you know, these SDGs, they actually embrace the whole, all the fields, whether it's environment, healthcare, or education. And at the beginning of the year, we're planning, alongside with our Afghan experts and Central Asian experts, we're planning to hold a meeting on our further works, efforts in this direction. Our work is probably slow, but it is underway. And there is an international bureaucracy. This is an international hub, and that will be operating in Almaty. But I hope you are satisfied with my answer. But in general, this is very palpable for Afghanistan, because in Afghanistan, the strategy is only being developed. Abdullah Abdukadirov, Strategic Development Agency, Republic of Uzbekistan.
Pakistan is bombing center of Kabul right now. And what is the source of this war? And where do you see the solution in here? Question to Mr. Shaheen.
بسیار با تأسف باید گفت که افغانستان بعد از اینکه دستخوش مداخلات خارجی و قوت‌های کلان بود، حالا همسایه ما، یگانه همسایه ما که وضعیت را در افغانستان، وضعیت خوب افغانستان را تحمل نمیکنه پاکستان است و کابل را بمبار میکنه و ولایت همجوار کابل را ولایتی که در خط دیورن موقعیت داره اونا را بمبار میکنه. جای خیلی تأسف است و ما از دوستای خود در کشورهای آسیای میانه باز میخواهیم که یگانه کشور ناراض ما را که پاکستان است او را راضی بسازه. برشان بگوید که شما چی مشکل دارین با افغانستان؟ چرا شما همیش روی خصمانه دارین؟ در این وقتی خیلی حساس، در وقتی که شروع زمستان است در افغانستان، اینا مهاجرینی که در سالهای گذشته به پاکستان رفتن اینا را به زور اخراج میکنن. نه تنهایی که اینا را اخراج
Я бы хотел сказать...
Regarding our only neighbor that is not tolerant to freedom and development of Afghanistan, I think that is Pakistan, because after coping such huge problems and after 50 years of war, now when we finally gained stability, Pakistan started bombing Kabul and the provinces nearby, and provinces that are located near Durand Line, they started bombing. And in such a situation when the winter is about to come, they started deporting our citizens and refugees from Pakistan. We kindly ask our brothers from Central Asia, ask Pakistan, why are they being so aggressive towards Afghanistan? What's their problem? Why are they taking such aggressive attacks?
یگانه کشوری که همراه ما مشکل داره پاکستان است و ما دوستای خود در کشورهای آسیای میانه از اینا میخواهیم که یک فورمی را بسازن، یک مجلسی را بسازن و در پاکستان هم حضور داشته باشن و موارد و مسائل خیلی واضح مطرح شود که مشکلتان چی است.
У нас есть границы с...
We share borders with 6 countries, among which the only country that is having issues with us is Pakistan. And we kindly ask our brothers from Central Asia to organize a forum inviting Afghanistan and Pakistan, and let's ask Pakistan, why are they taking this kind of steps, aggressive steps? What do they want from Afghanistan?
Several minutes. I don't see. Yes. How many questions we have? Yes. Yes. Please. I'm sorry.
Andrei Chabotarev, my question is to Mr. Shaheen. How is Afghanistan cooperating, interacting with Shanghai Cooperation Organization, given the fact that you still have the status of observer?
در سازمان‌های منطقوی رولی که باید می داشت تا هنوز هم نداره. ما در بعض موارد به حیث مهمان حضور پیدا میکنیم و در بعضی فروم ها باز من حیث یک عنصر اساس رول پیدا میکنیم. ما میخوایم که در منطقه خود رول خود را داشته باشیم. در سازمان شنگهای، در دیگر سازمان هایی که در منطقه فعال هستند، ما میخوایم من حیث یک عضو فعال همچون سازمان ها ما حضور داشته باشیم و این دیدگاه حکومت افغانستان است.
Unfortunately, the role that should be given to Afghanistan in regional organizations and international organizations is not given to Afghanistan Afghanistan does not hold any role. Sometimes Afghanistan participates as a guest or as an important participant. We would like to have rules designated to us in all regional and international organizations. This is the politics of Afghanistan.
Okay, last question, please.
Welcome to Kazakhstan.
You know, in the near future, the water issue will be a very significant problem, not only in our region, but in a global scale. My question related to all of you, addressed to all of you, especially now is in Afghanistan, there is a construction, a project called Hoshtepe Canal.
He said about it.
Yes, yes, I know, but do we have channels or do we have algorithms in the future to solve this significant matter? Because now we see that there is a crisis between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Will not be a crisis between Central Asian countries related to the water issue?
This particular question very briefly. Number one, Afghanistan should be involved into the international fund for saving the Aral Sea. In particular, its intergovernmental coordination water council, which is currently operating among all 5 Central Asian countries, with a primary focus on the distribution of water resources in the region. And we proceed from the understanding that Afghanistan should be a part of these multilateral engagements. Number two, it would be great to see Afghanistan at some point in the future accessing these 2 United Nations conventions on the use of transboundary rivers. Number three, definitely these kind of issues should be resolved in a very amicable, diplomatic way. And in these terms, at least, the country I represent is currently working on drafting bilateral agreement on the use of the resources, water resources of the Amudarya River Basin. So at least 3 options which might be helpful to address those remaining challenges in the region we're currently facing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that it was a very interesting session, and I hope that everything which declared to... okay, Mr. Shahin, please.
راجع به قشتی گفت که موقف حکومت افغانستان ای است که قشتیپه من حیث یک پروژه‌ای که کشورهای آسیای مرکزی ده او امرای ما کمک کنه و کمک دوستانه، به خاطر که آب را که اینا استفاده میکنه ما عین حق در امی آب داریم و ما بیشتر از حق خود هیچ چیزی را نمیخوایم. هیچگاه موضوع کشتیپه موضوع سبب برای مشکل انشالله نمیشه. امرای کشورهای آسیای میانه و کشورهای که دمی آب سهیم هستند و شریک هستند، بلکه این یک نقطه وصل میشه برای همه ما هم باید از این استفاده کنیم و شما ما را باید کمک کنین در این برنامه، به خاطر که یگانه پروژه‌ای که برای منفعت افغانستان و با امکانات افغانستان صورت میگیره می قشتیپه است. تشکر.
Regarding Kushtipa, I'd like to say the following. This project, Afghanistan's stance on this project is that our brothers from Central Asian states should help us, because we will never use more than we need to, use more water than we need to. We will probably even use less than the right we have to. We also have rights to use this trans-border river waters. We would like that our brothers from Central Asian states would help us with resolving this project, and hopefully this won't lead to any problems or conflicts between Afghanistan and Central Asian states.
Thank you for all participants, for all speakers, and I hope that it was interesting.